Welcome back to The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube. It is always a pleasure to record these videos, to edit them, put my unique spin on them for your viewing pleasure, for your listening pleasure. And, I'm ghosting. Early. Oh well. We might not have much time. No, I'm kidding. No, we're going to get right into what this video is about. You know what it's about. You've clicked on the thumbnail. X-Men 97, Tolerance's Extinction Part 3. This is the season finale of X-Men 97. And I've got to say, my initial thoughts, when you build up a finale, the way they've done it through episodes 1 through 9, episode 10 has got to hit. And I'm just being honest, I'm not a pessimist, but usually when you build it up that well, it's usually hard to satisfy in the finale. Now, did I come in thinking that they're going to fall short? No. Do they fall short? No, they do not. I believe they tie up every loose end very well, okay? But I will say that this is not my favorite episode of the season, even though it's very good. I'm gonna go ahead right now and give it a grade, B+. And that's good for a finale. Because like I said, the way it's been built up over the course of the season, like, it's almost impossible. And as a matter of fact, there is kind of a thread that's loose that ties into, we might as well just get into the episode. Now, when we last left off, Wolverine had his adamantium ripped out of his body. Okay, so let's start there. They do nothing with that. There's absolutely nothing done with that. Now, Wolverine is in a healing state because obviously having something that's been grafted onto your bones snatched out of your body is physical trauma. So, like the comic book callback, Wolverine is in a comatose state almost. Okay. And when he has the mask on his mouth, Scott leans in and says, "You better not break her heart." You know who he's talking about. Because Cyclops is not an idiot. He knows Jean Grey would be distraught if Logan died. Okay, so he said, "You better not break her heart. Heal." That was a great line. And guess what? That's all we get from Wolverine. A couple more times, I think different X-Men go in, they see him, on the thing or whatever. And in the comic books, when after Professor X lobotomizes Magneto, which you sort of see a little bit of, okay? Because Magneto, after he ripped the adamantium off of Wolverine's skeleton, Professor X went nuts, okay? He went bizarre. You were supposed to be quiet. And then when he ripped it off or whatever, the X-Men were traveling back to Earth in the Blackbird because they had to soup it up to travel into space. And systems started failing. So the ship is like falling apart while Wolverine is sort of in that valley of indecision of whether or not he wants to live or die. And Jean Grey, she invades his mind to try and bring him back to life. So he will choose to live. Okay? And Cyclops knows this. All right? It's not like Cyclops is like, forget him. He always loved you anyway. Get him out the way. No. Cyclops wants Wolverine on the team. All right? And so as the ship is falling apart, Jean has to divert her telekinesis to save the ship, but she's about to sacrifice herself. And I think she got sucked out of the door, and Wolverine, he emerged from his coma and grabbed onto Jean and saved Jean while she saved him, which is awesome stuff from the comic books. All right? But in this, we get nothing with Wolverine. That's it. We just see him healing. Actually, we don't even know if he's healing because he still has the wounds from the adamantium being ripped out of him. So that's why I can't give this episode an A, because we don't get anything with Wolverine. All right, so let's go to Bastion. OZT, he said it in this episode, Operation Zero Tolerance. Silence! Remember, Bastion's plan, okay, was to launch these Prime Sentinels to wipe out humanity. He said he wanted to save humanity from itself. Okay, so all the Prime Sentinels are dispatched or whatever because Professor X. Okay, actually, the storylines kind of conjoin, so I actually have to talk about both at the same time. The episode is awesome because it shows the dynamic between Professor Charles Xavier and Eric Lehnsherr before they become Professor X and become Magneto. They kind of harken back to their original origins where they're in a bar in a war-torn, I think it's Poland, I believe. World War II, they're in a bar talking, and he's like, what do you think about mutants? And Magneto's like, they better run and hide. And Professor X outs himself, okay, to Magneto as being a mutant, he says, I bend minds. And Magneto turns around and says, I bend metal. So they're like, whoa. And Magneto tells him, it's easier to bend metal than to bend minds. Okay? So he's talking about, living in a world where mutants will not be feared or hunted. That was Professor X's dream. And I just love the dynamic between Professor X and Magneto. I don't know if X-Men will ever be able to achieve anything that's that tangible emotionally. Like every scene with them in their youth, because this is all in the mind of Magneto, okay? Because Professor X is trying to appeal to Magneto's humanity, which has been downtrodden in his mind because of what Magneto's going through, the Holocaust, Days of Future Past, different events in X-Men the animated series, okay, such as when Fabian Cortez wanted to use Magneto, okay, to declare supremacy over humanity when they had Asteroid M, and I think that's season 4 or it's either season 3 or season 4 of X-Men the animated series. It's called Sanctuary. Okay, it's a 2-part episode. So Magneto's been through so much. He's been fighting for a mutant cause, but unfortunately, he has become what he's hated the most. What has he hated the most? Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. Because Adolf Hitler came into power in, I think, in 1942 or 1941 in Germany. He was hailed as a charismatic leader to save Germany, but in the process of saving Germany, he launched his own personal agenda, which led to the Holocaust. And that's the historical reference as to why Magneto is who he is. Okay? So just the relationship between Professor X and Magneto, it's so real. I gotta tell you, it's just so real. So, Bastion, okay, when Professor X basically hijacks Magneto's body early on, okay, just to get the power turned back on Earth, okay, electricity returns, okay. But then he says, in the mind of Magneto, it's like they're in a bar and it starts to flood. All this water starts to come in. And that's when Charles Xavier has to appeal to Magneto truly, instead of just hijacking him. He said, because then he'll be lost inside of his pain, and then he'll come back as a rage machine, even more than what he really is. Okay, so Professor X is basically spending the rest of the episode in the mind of Magneto, reminding him of who he is, reminding him of what their dream was when they first met. Because Magneto he's almost amnesiac in his mind because of Professor X taking control of him and using his powers, whatever. So it's just beautifully done. I just love the dynamic. Even when James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender played younger versions of Professor X and Magneto, and then Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen. I think he's Sir Patrick now. I think it's Sir Patrick Stewart and Sir Ian McKellen. It's older versions. You just can't you can't script that any better. So for the new MCU version of the X-Men, which I do have reservations about, Magneto and Professor X have to have on-screen chemistry that is just this tangible. They have to feel like brothers. They have to feel like family, which is what a theme of what Professor X was talking about as he was trying to reach Magneto's humanity, which is awesome stuff. I really want to not glower, because that's the wrong word. I really want to go on about that more and more, but this is a short video. I'm going to try to keep it short. Try to keep it under 20 minutes. We'll see how I do on the clock. All right. But anyway, so they're on the beach, the team, I think either the blue team or the gold team or whatever, where Bastion has basically defeated the X-Men, okay? Their team, the Sentinels arrive, Forge and Storm and Beast and Morph are all tied up by actual Sentinels. And Mr. Sinister is there. Nathan Cable is on the beach. He's also sort of incapacitated. And then Bastion kind of starts to monologue after the EMP turned all the power back on. So then he launches the Prime Sentinels again, Bastion, through his mind, because he's the server. He's the one that connects to all the Sentinels. And we see all these Avengers cameos, which are pretty cool. We saw that Captain America and Iron Man are in the Oval Office protecting President Kelly. We see Daredevil on the streets when it was blacked out, which was cool, before Magneto turned the power back on. I was like, this is perfect for Daredevil, because Daredevil don't need electricity to get around or do anything. I'm trying to think if there were any others. Oh, okay, when the Prime Sentinels were launched, we saw Omega Red and the rest of that Russian group. Their name will appear here, because I don't remember it right now. That's them, okay? And I just want to talk about the cameos real fast. We see 96 version of Peter Parker and Mary Jane looking at a television set. I said, that's Peter and that's Mary Jane. We also see Doctor Strange operating on somebody using his sorcery, using his mystical power. So I love the fact that this X-Men event, which is a global event, also snatches the attention of the Avengers. I thought that was cool. All right. So again, Bastion launches these Sentinels. They're trying to fight them off. And this is another reason why the episode does not get an A. Jean Grey just turns into Phoenix just for the sake of convenience. I was watching it. I was like, wait a minute. Why is she Phoenix? You know what I mean? I mean, like her form was like barely noticeable. It's like she like this like unlimited like telepathic and telekinetic power. So she kind of like, it's almost like plot armor. It's like she's conveniently turned back into Phoenix. She like dismantled the Sentinels. She like psychically attached the inhibitor collar around Bastion. Mr. Sinister, like she like yanks all the mutant DNA that he's stored up for centuries, and then he like reverts into this hideous golem-like looking creature. And Mr. Sinister is a coward, so I'm not going to say he was done dirty, because Sinister really is like a slime ball. All right. So I was like, and then like afterwards, she's like, well, yeah, there's just a little bit of Phoenix left. And that just felt very convenient. I didn't like that. I'm just going to be honest. I didn't like that. So when Bastion conveniently, for the sake of the plot, the inhibitor collar does nothing apparently, even though Forge and Beast worked on it. Suddenly that didn't work. And then he sort of overpowers the rest of the X-Men. He like alters his form. He almost looks like Archangel a little bit, but a really cool design for Bastion, I'm not going to lie. So he says, I'm going to go up to Asteroid M and destroy it and bring the asteroid down to destroy the rest of humanity. So now Bastion is on his stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, he's like, that asteroid is going to act like the big like chunk of land that Ultron was going to use to destroy the Earth in Avengers Age of Ultron, which was not my favorite MCU movie. But it's sort of similar, and since this Asteroid M is like miles big in direction, coming from like the upper orbit, this would have shattered the planet. Okay, so we're talking about an extinction level event. All right. So also in the process, while the X-Men that went to Asteroid M are like they're also something else I didn't get. All of a sudden, like Rogue and Roberto were just like cool again with all the X-Men. I'm like, wait, they were just fighting in the previous episode. I was like, when did they make up? When did they come back in harmony? Like, that's another reason why this episode is a little messy. It's a little messy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, I guess they forgot about this. There's something on the moon. And at first I was like, wait, is that one of Apocalypse's moon bases? Because there's this like face that looks like one of the Stonehenge faces. And there's a huge footprint that Rogue and Bastion landed. And I'm like, I'm like, is this like a breadcrumb or Easter egg to Apocalypse? Because Apocalypse famously does have a lunar base. Because he attacked the Inhumans back in X Factor, I think 66 through 68, or whatever. One of the most famous X Factor storylines ever. And this episode, while messy, it is a good tie-in. It's just a lot of conveniences. Like when Magneto, of course, you kind of assumed, okay, that he would sort of tap into this like long-lost humanity. Professor X does reach him psychically, talking about their original dream. So then he remembers he's you're Professor Charles Xavier. Because as I said earlier, he was sort of amnesiac, okay? So he says, all right. So he stops the asteroid from plunging, using his magnetic power. So he pushes him back out into space. And then the asteroid blows up. It incinerates, okay? And I'm like, so what happened here? So then conveniently, they're time displaced. That's how the episode ends. Different parts of the X-Men are in the ancient Egypt, 3000 BC. Another part of the X-Men, they're in 3690 AD. So when I saw that, and I saw them in Egypt, I said, okay, this is Apocalypse, has to be. And even in the future, I'm like, okay, so they're going on some kind of a Age of Apocalypse like timeline story for the second season. Yes, we're getting a second season because this one ended with to be continued. So they come to the rescue of a young man. And as soon as I saw him, I said, that's Apocalypse. But he's in Saba Noor, okay? And in the future, it's about Clan Ascani. That's also the clan that rose up to how am I supposed to say it? They were like caretakers for this Messiah, this messianic character, to take down future tyrant Apocalypse. So I think the second season is going to be about the Age of Apocalypse. So like I said, B+ for the finale. This was a stellar season of X-Men. Ladies and gentlemen, if you had no clue who the X-Men were, and all you know is the Avengers, the Inhumans, the Defenders, and all the other groups, Eternals. Okay, X-Men is the premier superhero group in Marvel Comics. I'm just going to stick to Marvel. Okay, they're my favorite in any comic, but they are the premier group in Marvel Comics. I believe this season has really highlighted to you guys who the X-Men are. And no, we did not get a Wolverine episode talking about his past, but we've seen so many movies about Wolverine. You know, I think we will probably get something probably in the second season that's like a Wolverine-centric episode. But I think everybody was kind of in their rightful place for this first season to let you know where everyone stands, to let you know where Wolverine stands. He loves Jean, but he's a grunt. Wolverine is a soldier, and he knows that Cyclops is the captain of the X-Men. All right? So we're going to try to end the video here. I hope you guys don't feel as though I've rushed it. I don't want this thing to cut off in the middle of the video. So B+ for this episode. As far as the entire season, this gets an A+ this season. X-Men 97 season 1, A+. Bring back Bo DeMaio. Bring back Bo DeMaio. Now, if you like the video, please leave a comment. Leave a dissertation if necessary in the comment section. You know where those comments or dissertations go. David Brent style. Down there, that's where they go. Do your part, I'll do my part, so that the Great Expanse by John Bat 426 can and will expand. It's in the name, and can't wait for season 2. This is the Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube. I was so elated and so indifferent about the finale of X-Men 97 Season 1, Tolerance is Extinction Part 3. I didn't stay to watch the ending. I found out later that there was a post-credit scene. Welcome back to The Great Expanse by John Bat 426 here on YouTube. It's always a pleasure to record these videos, to edit them, put my unique spin on them for your listening pleasure, for your viewing pleasure. And if you've liked the videos that you've seen thus far, hit that like button. Share these videos with other people that you know that like X-Men 97 as much as you do. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell for notifications. Which one? All. Not personalized or the one underneath, but all. So the next time a new video is dropped, you'll know about it second. You'll know about it second. I'll know about it first. One rep jab. Now this is gonna be a very brief video, all right? Because I'm just doing my reaction to the post-credit scene, and that's it. I'm gonna just hit it and quit it. Not in that way. Okay? And you've clicked on my thumbnail, you know what this is about. All right. So we are looking at the thumbnail kind of gives away what's going on, but I'm gonna look at it anyway. All right. Make sure that Pittsburgh Steelers is shining. Yeah. No Super Bowl. Maybe. But we're doing the apocalypse. Sorry, I kind of gave it away. But we're doing the post-credit scene in 3, 2, 1, go. Fail. Okay, and the video is muted. Okay. Okay, now we've got everything in place. We're doing the post-credit scene to Tolerance is Extinction Part 3, X-Men 97 Season 1 in 3, 2, 1, go. Muir Island, present day Genoshan. That's the same artwork for Muir Island though.
So much pain, my children.
Different voice.
So much death.
Oh, that's Apocalypse. Very brief, but very poignant, okay? The voice, it's not quite John Colicos, who, like, famously voiced Apocalypse in the early 90s. John Colicos, unfortunately, did pass, okay? But that's the ruins of Genosha, so nobody is there. It's just death there. All right, I think I saw one of the flags kind of just, like, draped around, just discarded. And the reason why this is interesting is because the X-Men were displaced, but they were, both teams, I think, were displaced in different parts of history. One team went back to 3000 BC. Another one went to about roughly 4000 AD. But this all has something to do with Apocalypse. While present day Apocalypse, obviously, he was resurrected in the Fifth Horseman, which is season 5 of X-Men, the animated series, okay? Now, of course, they think he's dead. They think Apocalypse is dead from Beyond Good and Evil, when all the psychics banished Apocalypse from it's like a psychic realm that he kind of created or whatever between time. But Professor X said, without your rejuvenation chamber, without your Lazarus chamber, you'll just simply cease to exist. Okay, but he was resurrected by Fabian Cortez in season 5. So it's interesting because, and I think this is what I think is going to happen. Okay, I think they're going to go the Apocalypse Wars route. Apocalypse Wars. Okay, that's a newer story of the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse. Colossus, I think he was War. I think Venom, Moon Knight, and somebody else was the fourth. I think Deadpool. I think those were the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse. Okay. Now with Apocalypse, they're on Genosha. Okay, where nobody else is. He picked up that. I guess he saw the card in the rubble. When all the ash was blown away, he said, "Death." That confirms Gambit will be reincarnated and resurrected in this series, probably the second season, as the Horseman Death. All right. So thank you so much. If you liked the video, hit the like button, comment on the video, leave a dissertation in the comment section if need be. David Brent, please let them know where those comments or dissertations go, sir. That's where they go. Thank you, David. Do your part, now do my part, so that the Great Expanse by John Bat 4. Let me start that over. Do your part, now do my part, so the Great Expanse by John Bat 426 can and will expand. It's in the name.